Refreshing and refining your Qigong practice. That is going to be the topic of this episode of Qi Life. So we recently finished another group going through the Small Universe Qigong program. If you don't know what that is, the Small Universe Qigong program is one of the courses we run through Long White Cloud Qigong. And that course, it focuses on a lot of the fundamentals of Qigong. So we spend time working with foundations of breath work, of stance and posture, of energy awareness. We do a whole series of Qigong meditations that are really great for developing that connection between the mind and the body. And then we do a series of different moving Qigong practices, which work with you could call it the basics of our energy anatomy, the fundamental patterns of flow of energy within us. So we have practices that work with the organ meridians. Those are the same ones you use in acupuncture for affecting the posture, the emotions, the function of the organs. Practices working with the dantian, with the extraordinary meridians, with our energy fields, and so on. And so those practices, they give you a lot of foundational insight just into how energy works within you, and then also a lot of understanding about yourself, as well, of course, as the practices are good for activating and harmonizing and balancing the flow of all of those different parts of our energy. Now, the inspiration for this vlog comes because we actually ran this most recent group going through the program differently from how we've done it previously. And we opened it up so that we gave the opportunity for people who had previously done the course to join in with this group and do it as a refresher. And so we had quite a few people who took up that opportunity, decided they would like to go through and refresh their knowledge of these practices. And it's been really nice having them in the group. We had people, some of them who had only completed the course maybe, a year or so ago who decided they'd like to go through again as a refresher. We had others who had been through the program maybe 5 years ago, decide that they'd like to do a refresher. And we even had some who, we didn't have the program in this format previously, but we did teach most of the same practices, not all of them, but most of the same practices previously in a different format. And we had some people come through who had done those earlier courses, maybe 10 years ago. And this was a chance for them to come back and refresh, refocus, renew their knowledge, and refine their understanding of the practices. In a couple of ways, this is beneficial for them, of course. One of them being that the new course materials are much more comprehensive than the old ones, so we go into a lot more detail. But the other is simply to bring their own focus back to things that they'd studied previously and bring it back to the front of their mind and maybe notice new details. And it's been really nice, actually. It worked really well having people who are both new to the practice, exploring these practices for the first time, and then also having people who have, some of them quite a lot of experience over quite a long time with these practices, sharing their new insights and experiences from having a clear focus working with these again. Another thing that has been really nice is, so as part of this program, so certainly for those people who are going through it for the first time, we have a series of assessments at the end. And this forms a valuable part of the learning because it gives them an opportunity to really consolidate their knowledge of all the things that they focused on during the course and to bring it all together to see the big picture of how it all fits together. And also to validate for themselves that they do understand what it is that they're doing and all of the important principles behind it. Now, of course, as we run this as an instructor certification program, it's very comprehensive. It's a 200-hour training. It's also important that we're checking that they understand if they're going to teach others. So, yeah, clearly very important for those people who are going through it for the first time. But several of the people doing it as a refresher also opted in to doing some of these assessments again for themselves as a way for them to check in on their progress with the practice and their understanding and so on. And it's been really nice to see the way that certainly some of the people who've gone through that, how their practice has developed. And, I can see from looking at them and remembering, how they were last time I observed them doing the practices, how they've developed, not just in their understanding of the practice, but in and of themselves. One person in particular, and I commented to her that I could just see a lot more vitality within her from having continued on with the practice over that time. That was really nice to see. So yeah, I guess this vlog is just a few comments on that and on the value of because sometimes when we get into a pattern of working with something, it's easy for us, like we may still have an understanding of fundamental principles and so on, but it's easy for us to lose our focus on some of those fundamentals because maybe we're focusing on different parts of things and so on. And there's real value in going back to those foundations, those fundamentals. There's always something more that we can gain from that. And certainly from the comments that people have made who took the refresher, that's been their experience, that they've got a lot out of going back and focusing on these things again and refreshing their knowledge of them and then refining some of the details for themselves. So yeah, just a short one. We probably will. So we're not going to be having people do refreshers on all of our courses going forwards. We're not going to always make that available. But it is something, given that it went well this time and seemed to be valuable for people, it is something that we will offer from time to time to graduates of courses previously, that we will, from time to time we'll open up one of them and allow people to come in and do a refresher if they would like to. We do have another small universe group starting soonish. I think it's end of May or beginning of June, something like that. I think it might be beginning of June. So if that's something you're interested in, I don't think we're going to be opening that one up for a refresher, but if you haven't done it before and you'd like to delve into all those fundamentals of Qigong practice, that could be interesting for you. We'll put some kind of link about that in the description below. All right, I look forward to seeing you on another vlog soon.